My mom grabbed my hand at dinner and said, "Let your brother use your spare room for his business." 6 months later, my entire apartment had turned into his warehouse, and my parents threatened to disown me if I evicted him. I 27M needs some perspective on whether I'm being unreasonable here. I've always been close with my family. My parents James, 57M, and Patricia, 55F, and my younger brother Tyler, 25M. I worked hard through college, landed a good job in software development, and finally saved enough to buy my own 2-bedroom apartment last year. It's nothing fancy, but it's mine, and I was proud to have achieved this milestone. Tyler recently graduated with a business degree and has been living with our parents while working on launching his own e-commerce company. He's always been the entrepreneurial type, and I genuinely admire his ambition. The business involves importing specialty fitness equipment and selling it online. Think resistance bands, yoga accessories, that sort of thing. Last week, my parents invited me over for Sunday dinner. Everything seemed normal until dessert when my mother cleared her throat in that way. That means she's about to ask for something significant. "Michael," she began, "we wanted to talk to you about Tyler's business." I nodded, expecting maybe they wanted me to help with the website or something. I was not prepared for what came next. "Your guest bedroom?" My father jumped in. "It's just sitting empty most of the time, right?" "Well, yeah," I said slowly. "I use it when friends visit." "But perfect," my mother interrupted. "Tyler needs a proper office space for his business. The house is too cramped with all his inventory, and renting commercial space is so expensive when you're just starting out." Tyler had been quiet until then, but he leaned forward eagerly. "It would just be temporary, Mike. Just until the business takes off. I'd only need the room for inventory storage and maybe to set up a small desk for order processing." I felt blindsided. My apartment was my sanctuary, my first real achievement as an adult. But looking at their hopeful faces, I felt that familiar guilt creeping in. My parents had sacrificed a lot for our education. They'd helped me through college. Even though it meant taking out loans, they're still paying off. "How temporary are we talking?" I asked. 6 months tops, Tyler said quickly. "By then, I'll have enough revenue to get a proper warehouse space." My mother reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "You know we wouldn't ask if it wasn't important, honey. Family helps family. That's what we've always taught you boys." My father nodded. "Think of it as an investment in your brother's future. Who knows, maybe one day his business will be successful enough that he can help you out when you need it." I wanted to point out that I'd already helped myself by buying my own place, but I bit my tongue. The thing is, I do believe in supporting family, and Tyler seemed so excited about his business. Maybe I was being selfish hoarding space I didn't really need. "Can I think about it?" I asked. The disappointment on their faces was immediate and crushing. "Of course," my mother said, but her tone suggested I'd already let them down. "But Tyler needs to make decisions soon. He has suppliers waiting." The rest of dinner was awkward. Tyler barely spoke to me, and my parents kept making pointed comments about how some people forget where they came from and how success means nothing if you can't share it with family. I left feeling terrible. Was I really being that unreasonable? It was just one room, and Tyler was my brother. I'd want him to help me if our situations were reversed. I called them the next day and agreed to let Tyler use the guest bedroom as an office. You should have heard the joy in my mother's voice. "I knew we raised you right," she said. "I'm so proud of you for supporting your brother." Tyler was ecstatic. He promised to be respectful of my space, to keep regular business hours, and to be out within 6 months. We even drew up a simple agreement, nothing formal, just outlining the boundaries. He'd have access to the apartment from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. On weekdays for business purposes, would keep all inventory in the guest room, and would pay me $200 a month to cover utilities. I helped him move in his initial inventory last weekend. It was more than I expected. Boxes and boxes of resistance bands, yoga mats, foam rollers, and various other fitness equipment. The guest bedroom was packed floor to ceiling, but Tyler assured me he had a system. "This is just the initial order," he explained. "Once I start moving product, it'll thin out." I gave him a spare key and showed him how to use the security system. He set up a small desk in the corner of the room with his laptop and printer. It actually looked pretty professional, and I felt good about helping him get started. My girlfriend Sarah was less enthusiastic when I told her about the arrangement. "You're letting your brother run a business out of your apartment?" she asked incredulously. "Michael, that's your space. You worked hard for it." "It's just temporary," I assured her, "and it's important to support family." She shook her head but didn't push it. "I hope you know what you're doing." So here I am a week into this arrangement. Tyler's been true to his word so far, He arrives at 9 o'clock, works quietly in the room, and leaves by 6 o'clock. I can hear him on phone calls sometimes talking to suppliers or customers, but it's not too disruptive since I'm at work during those hours anyway. I guess I'm posting because I still have this nagging feeling that I should have thought this through more carefully. But Tyler's my brother, and he's trying to build something. Isn't that worth a little inconvenience on my part? My parents keep texting me about how proud they are, how I'm setting such a good example of family values. Am I overthinking this? It's just 6 months and then I'll have my space back. And who knows, maybe Tyler's business will take off, and this will be a story we laugh about years from now. Remember when I ran my $1 million company out of your guest room? He'll say, I want to be supportive. I really do. I just hope I haven't made a mistake. Update 1 month later. I thought I'd update since a few people messaged asking how things were going. I wish I had better news. Remember how Tyler promised it would just be the guest bedroom? Well, that lasted about 2 weeks. First, it was just a few overflow boxes in the hallway because a big shipment came in. I'll move them as soon as I process these orders, he promised. Then came the packaging station. Tyler explained that he was wasting too much time going back and forth between the inventory room and the kitchen counter where he was packaging orders. Could he just set up a small folding table in the living room? It'll be so much more efficient, he said, and I'll fold it up every night. Reader. He did not fold it up. The table became a permanent fixture covered in shipping labels, tape guns, and those plastic air pillows. My living room now looked like a fulfillment center. But the real turning point came 3 weeks ago when my parents showed up unannounced on a Saturday afternoon. I was enjoying my day off lounging on the couch in my pajamas when I heard a key in the lock. I assumed it was Tyler. Strike one. Why was he here on a weekend, but in walked my parents with a man I didn't recognize? Michael, my mother said, as if surprised to find me in my own home. This is Robert, Tyler's business mentor. We're here for a strategy meeting. I sat up, pulling my blanket around me. A meeting here on Saturday. Oh, did Tyler not mention it? My father asked, though his tone suggested he knew perfectly well Tyler hadn't. Robert's only in town for the day. Tyler's on his way. He just had to pick up lunch for everyone. Before I could object, they'd made themselves comfortable around my dining table, spreading out laptops and documents. Robert was already pulling up spreadsheets talking about market penetration and growth strategies. Maybe I started to say, planning to retreat to my bedroom. Don't be silly, my mother interrupted. This is your home too. We're family. That phrase, we're family, was starting to feel less like warmth and more like manipulation. Tyler arrived with bags of food from my favorite local deli. At least he bought my usual sandwich, though eating it felt like accepting a bribe. The meeting went on for 3 hours. 3 hours of business jargon, financial projections, and my mother occasionally calling me over to admire Tyler's sales graphs. Look at this growth, she exclaimed. 20% increase week over week. Isn't your brother amazing? I mumbled something supportive, but inside I was seething. This was my Saturday, my apartment, my space to relax. But how could I kick them out without looking like the bad guy? After they left, I confronted Tyler. You can't just host meetings here without asking, I said. He looked genuinely puzzled. But you said I could use the space for business. The guest bedroom during weekday business hours. Come on, Mike. Robert's a big deal. He's invested in 3 successful startups. I couldn't exactly meet him in a coffee shop. You could have asked me first. Tyler's expression hardened. I thought you wanted to help. Mom and Dad said you were supportive. There it was, the guilt trip. I backed down, but I made him promise no more weekend meetings. That promise lasted exactly 1 week. The next Saturday, I woke up to voices in my living room. Tyler was there with 2 potential investors, giving them a tour of his operations. My living room had been rearranged to showcase product displays. And this is where we do our packaging, he was saying as I stumbled out in my boxers, not expecting company. The investors looked uncomfortable. I was mortified. Tyler barely acknowledged me. Sorry, that's just my brother, he said, as if I was an inconvenient roommate rather than the owner of the apartment. But the meetings were just the beginning. The delivery situation has become unbearable. At first, packages came during regular mail hours. Then Tyler signed up for freight deliveries. Last Tuesday, I got a call at work from my building manager. Mr. Anderson, there's a delivery truck here saying they have a pallet of goods for your unit. They need someone to sign. A pallet, I asked. Like a wooden pallet. That's right. They say it won't fit in the elevator. They want to use the freight entrance, but I need your authorization. I had to leave work early to deal with it. Tyler was there, all smiles, directing the delivery guys to stack boxes in my entryway because the guest room and hallway were already full. This is temporary, he said, not meeting my eyes. Big order came through. I'll have it all shipped out by Monday. It's Thursday. The boxes are still there. I have to sideways shuffle to get to my kitchen. And then there's the customer issue. Tyler gave out my address as the business address. Why? It looks more professional than mom and dad's suburban address, he explained. Now I get random people buzzing my apartment thinking it's a showroom. Last week, a woman showed up insisting on seeing the yoga mats in person before buying. Tyler wasn't even there. He'd gone to lunch. I had to awkwardly explain that this was a residential building, not a store, while she peered over my shoulder at the boxes visible in my entryway. Sarah and I had planned a romantic dinner at my place last Friday. I'd cleaned everything up as best I could, shoving Tyler's overflow into corners and covering the packaging station with a tablecloth. But just as we were sitting down to eat, Tyler texted that he needed to stop by to grab an urgent order for a VIP customer. It'll just take 5 minutes, he promised. He showed up with our mother. "Oh, Sarah," Mom exclaimed. "How lovely to see you. Don't mind us, we're just here on business." They proceeded to spend 45 minutes searching for a specific product, moving boxes around. My mother chatting the whole time about how proud she was of Tyler's entrepreneurial spirit and how lucky he was to have such a supportive brother. Sarah left early. She hasn't been back to my apartment since. I can't relax there. She told me it doesn't feel like your home anymore. It feels like Tyler's warehouse that you happen to sleep in. She's right. I don't even feel comfortable in my own space. I find myself staying late at work just to avoid going home. When I am home, I'm constantly navigating around boxes, avoiding the packaging station, pretending I don't hear Tyler on his business calls, talking about our facilities and our operation. I've tried talking to my parents, but they immediately go on the defensive. Tyler's working so hard, my mother says. Don't you want him to succeed? You have all that space, my father adds. It seems selfish not to share when your brother is trying to build something. They've even started dropping hints that I should let Tyler expand further. That second bathroom you never use, my mother mentioned last week. Tyler could store the lighter inventory there. Yoga blocks don't need climate control. I shut that down immediately, but the fact that they even suggested it shows how far this has gone. The $200 monthly payment. I've seen it once. When I mentioned it to Tyler, he looked hurt. I thought we were past keeping tabs like that. He said I'm family, not a tenant. Besides, think of all the connections you're making through my business. Robert really liked you. Robert, who met me for 30 seconds while I was in my underwear. I'm at my wit's end. The 6-month mark is still 4 months away, and I don't know if I can last that long. But if I kick Tyler out now, I'll be the villain. The brother who crushed his siblings' dreams. The son who put his comfort over family success. I keep thinking about something Sarah said. They're taking advantage of your kindness, Michael. And the worst part is they've convinced you that standing up for yourself makes you the bad person. Is she right? Am I being taken advantage of? Or am I just being selfish, unwilling to sacrifice for family? I don't know anymore. I just know that I dread going home to my own apartment, and that can't be right. Final update. 3 months later. I never thought I'd be writing this update. If you told me 3 months ago that I'd be getting eviction threats from my own parents over my own apartment, I'd have laughed. But here we are. Everything came to a head 2 weeks ago. But first, let me catch you up on the deterioration of the situation. After my last post, things somehow got worse. Tyler's business was indeed growing, which meant more inventory, more shipments, more chaos. My entire apartment had been transformed into a warehouse. I couldn't use my dining table because it was covered in shipping supplies. My kitchen counters were stacked with product samples. Even my bedroom was not safe. I'd found boxes of resistance bands stashed under my bed just temporarily. While Tyler reorganized, the guest bedroom was so packed that Tyler couldn't even access his desk anymore. He'd moved his entire operation to my living room, setting up a full office space, complete with a second monitor printer and filing cabinet he'd brought from our parents' house. This is actually better, he'd said, when I protested. More room to spread out. My neighbors had started complaining. The constant deliveries, the packages, in the hallway strangers, coming and going thinking it was a business address. The building manager had given me 2 warnings already. Then, 3 weeks ago, Tyler dropped a bomb. So, I've been thinking, he said one evening as I tried to eat dinner standing up in my kitchen, the only clear space left. This arrangement is working really well. I'm going to extend it. Extend it? I asked, my fork freezing halfway to my mouth. Yeah, indefinitely. It doesn't make sense to move to a warehouse now. The overhead would kill my margins. Besides, he added with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, I've established a business presence here. I have rights. Rights I nearly choked. Tyler, you're a guest. We had an agreement. 6 months. Actually, he pulled out his phone. I've been talking to a lawyer friend since I've been operating my business here for over 3 months, receiving mail, having an established presence. I'm technically a commercial tenant. You can't just kick me out. I stared at him in disbelief. You're joking. I'm not going to let you sabotage everything I've built, he said coldly. I know you've been jealous since day one. You can't stand that my business is succeeding. Jealous Tyler. I can't even sit on my own couch. There are yoga mats where my coffee table used to be. Temporary sacrifices for long-term success, he said, pairing something that sounded suspiciously like our father. Something you'd understand if you had any entrepreneurial vision. That night, I called a lawyer of my own. The news wasn't good. While Tyler's claim of tenant rights was shaky at best, evicting someone who claimed commercial tenancy could be complicated and expensive, especially if they fought it. Your best bet, the lawyer advised, is to work it out within the family. Legal battles with relatives rarely end well for anyone. But working it out with family was exactly the problem. I tried talking to my parents again, hoping they'd see reason. Instead, I got ambushed. They invited me for Sunday dinner last week. When I arrived, Tyler was already there with a laptop and a presentation queued up. My Aunt Linda and Uncle Robert were there too, along with my cousins. A full family tribunal. We're here to discuss the future of Tyler's business, my father announced as if this was a board meeting. Tyler launched into his presentation revenue projections, growth strategies, market analysis. The punchline he needed to expand operations and my apartment was the perfect location. He actually had architectural plans showing how he could convert my entire living space into a showroom and fulfillment center. I'd still let you keep the bedroom, he said magnanimously. And we could schedule your kitchen access around shipping times. The family was eating it up. My aunt was nodding along, impressed by the numbers. My cousins were asking about investment opportunities. My parents were beaming with pride. This is insane, I finally interrupted. It's my apartment. I bought it. I pay the mortgage. Tyler can't just take it over. The room went silent. Then my mother spoke, her voice ice cold. I'm disappointed in you, Michael. We raised you better than this. Family supports family. I did support him. I gave him 3 months of free space. And look what he's built with that opportunity. My father added, do you really want to be the person who destroys your brother's dreams out of selfishness? If Michael forces me out now, Tyler chimed in, I'll lose everything. My suppliers need a stable address. My customers expect consistent service. He'd be literally destroying my business. My aunt shook her head disapprovingly. I can't believe you do that to your own brother, Michael. I stood up to leave, but my father's next words stopped me cold. If you go through with evicting Tyler, he said, you'll be evicting yourself from this family. We won't stand by and watch you destroy everything he's worked for. Are you seriously threatening to disown me over this? I asked, incredulous. We're hoping it doesn't come to that, my mother said. But Tyler's business is the family's future. He's already promised to hire your cousins once he expands. This is bigger than just you, Michael. I left without another word. That was a week ago. Since then, I've received a daily text from my mother about how I'm breaking her heart. Emails from Tyler with compromise proposals that involve him taking over even more space. A formal letter from Tyler's lawyer friend claiming tenant rights. Messages from extended family members I haven't heard from in years, all urging me to do the right thing. And yesterday, a note from my parents saying that if I proceed with eviction, they'll sue me for interference with business relations. Apparently, Tyler convinced them I was sabotaging his company. The kicker. Tyler has now changed all his business registrations to my address. He's been telling suppliers and customers that he's co-owner of the property. I found out when a business loan officer called to verify his assets. So here's where I am. I've hired a lawyer and started formal eviction proceedings. It's going to be expensive, messy, and will probably nuke my relationship with my family. But I can't live like this anymore. I can't even bring myself to go home most nights. I've been sleeping at Sarah's place. Yes, we're still together. She's been my rock through this insanity. The lawyer says I have a strong case despite Tyler's claims. We have the original agreement proof that he was supposed to be temporary and evidence that he's violated the terms by operating outside the agreed hours and space. The building management complaints helped too. Tyler's been served with the eviction notice. The family explosion was immediate and intense. I've blocked most of their numbers for now on my lawyer's advice, but I know what they're saying. I'm the villain. The selfish brother who chose property over family. The son who betrayed his parents' values. Maybe they're right. Maybe I should have just let Tyler have the apartment and moved in with Sarah, or found somewhere else. Maybe family should come first always, no matter what. But I keep coming back to something my therapist said. Yes, I started therapy over this. Your family has weaponized your love for them. They've turned your kindness into an obligation and your boundaries into betrayal. That's not love, it's manipulation. The eviction process will take at least another month, maybe 2. Tyler's fighting it. Of course, he's still operating his business out of my apartment, though. Now he glares at me whenever I'm there. My parents won't speak to me except through their lawyer. Most of my extended family has taken their side. But for the first time in months, I feel like I can breathe. I know there's still a long road ahead, but at least I'm finally standing up for myself even if it costs me everything else. I'll update again when this is resolved one way or another. To those who messaged support after my last post, thank you. You helped me realize I wasn't crazy, that expecting to live peacefully in my own home wasn't selfish. To anyone dealing with similar family boundary issues, it's okay to say no. It's okay to have limits, and it's okay to choose your own well-being over family demands, even if they make you feel guilty for it. Families should support each other, yes, but support shouldn't mean sacrificing your entire life to prop up someone else's dreams. I learned that the hard way.